Penny Lear, mic check number 1. The white zone is for immediate unloading and loading of passengers. There is no stopping in the white zone. Penny, you good? Thank you.
Good evening. Since I am an expert in architecture as well, we welcome all of you. It's very inspiring to see so many of you, so we're very thankful for that. And we want to begin with a prayer. Just stay seated, okay? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Let us pray. Almighty God, we know in your sacred word, we hear, unless God is building a house, we build in vain. So we call upon your abiding presence. Yes, you were in this community when this church structure was put together to be a home for your daughters and sons in the faith. And now we also know that where two or more are gathered, your son Jesus says, there he is in his name. And so as we do try to bring people together, children together, youth together, we do pray that you fill us with your spirit and to allow the endeavors and all of the things that are connected to this endeavor to call forth generosity, spirit, openness, and engagement, that we may be a family of faith that's spoken of as the most blessed sacrament. Through Christ our Lord, amen. Amen. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Michael now.
Thank you, Father. For those of you who recognize me, I play the piano every Sunday and Saturday. I'm sorry I wasn't here like last weekend. Oh, man, I'm really bad at microphones. I'm sorry. This is why I never talk and I just play. I don't know how to use mics. Thanks, Penny. Thank you. So my name is Michael Mcdowell. I play the piano here on Sundays and Saturdays. I'm also your Director of Administration and Development. If you didn't know that you had one of those, you've had one for like 2.5 months now. I'm in the office about 4 days a week here because Father Phil doesn't want to give me dental. So moving on now, what we're going to talk about today, I know that we've kind of broadcasted that we have these 2 new buildings. We've got some floor plans for them. These are projects that are going to be upcoming that we're moving forward with. We're all very excited about that. And I want to just give you guys a little brief history, how we got to that point, where those fit in a broader master plan context, as well as some other projects that you may or may not have known that have been happening in the last couple years. With me today is Daryl Didier for Didier Architecture. Matthew Landry's here as well. Fred Matthews is here. He can answer some of your tougher questions that Father Phil, in his architectural expertise, might not be able to. And if you have a question about like what wattage a light bulb uses or something like that, I'm pretty sure Dennis Bourgeois knows every single light bulb and every single doorknob and every single lock throughout campus. So we have a good wealth of knowledge for you guys today. I'll try to keep this opening part of it pretty brief. So if we go all the way back, who remembers the Building for the Future capital campaign, 2001, 2002, right? So the goal of that was a $3 million trust that we would be able to use to build 3 buildings: a new church, the one we're sitting in, new administrative building right back here behind this wall, and then there was a parish hall also included in that plan from Post Architecture. So that was kind of the general layout. You'll notice by 2007, when this was all completed, it wasn't all completed. We have an administrative building, and we have the church that we're sitting in now. So if we fast forward now all the way to 2018, by the way, just a side note, we were able to pay off, because we didn't complete that 3rd hall, we were able to pay off the loans that we had for these 2 buildings in just a few years, right? So put us in a pretty good financial place to move into the 2010s. If we fast forward all the way to 2018, in one of the April bulletins, Father Phil published a letter outlining some pretty major structural, drainage, and cosmetic things that needed to happen on our school campus in the courtyard. You may be familiar with those if you have kids here. If not, please go check it out. I'll be happy to take a walk around the campus with you. It's a beautiful campus that we've been able to do. The cost for that was $772,000. And it's actually, like, again, a really beautiful layout. I know that we're all pretty proud of the way that that's turned out, and definitely proud of the fact that we didn't have to have a capital campaign of any kind or take out any loans. So moving on to 2019, I don't know if you remember, we had the easels up around church sometimes that had this master plan. I'll take you really, really quickly, just kind of left to right. Down here in the left corner, it will be additional classrooms and our administrative offices for the school, because our current administrative offices are going to be converted into a science lab. Don't let me say anything wrong. So thank you for bringing up safety, because that's a big point that I know that our building committee has really considered very, very, very strongly as we have gone throughout creating this master plan. So an area that I want to bring your attention to is right here. This is where our old playground was, and it's since been moved to right here, also for safety, as well as repositioning our baseball field. Moving over to the right side, our big open field area has had new electrical run to it, as well as water for the fair. This building here and this parking is part of what we're going to be talking about tonight. This is where our additional fellowship hall will be going. That's one of the 2 buildings that we've advertised about, as well as convert pole lights in this church to LEDs, right, Dennis? And we've added a turn lane over here. So this is kind of just an overview of where we are, and I know I've skipped like 5 things on here, but just a general idea of where the parish is going. That plot of land, the old playground, is something that I, again, want to draw attention to because this is going to be the location for a new multi-purpose building. So first building here behind the administrative offices, second building, multi-purpose building on this plot of land. This is the drive to where if you come up here and you take a right, you're heading to the church. That is the existing gym. Everybody kind of have a sense of where we are on the campus? So in 2019, we were able to move that old playground up and around, add new fencing. It really brought it up to code, if that makes sense. And to be honest, I don't know too much more about that particular project. I know Fred and Dennis gave me a nice 20-minute lecture on it. But basically, it's a lot safer now, and it's actually a really cool playground. So between then and now, we've done a few other things that have also cost money. During COVID, we added cameras and a streaming platform for the church. We've also, like I said, converted the lights. That was part of the master plan. The cooling tower replacement is one that I really like because our original cooling tower was supposed to have a lifespan of 15 years, and we got 37 years out of it. So that finally got replaced. And all of that totals about $450,000. So, summer 2021, currently, what projects are we working on? Basically, major overhauls, major maintenance, major work being done on school's campus, insulation, replacing all the pipes, several technology upgrades, a lot of expansive work being done. Yes, like the sanitary, HVAC, up here either. I forget the dollar figure for that, but yeah. So when COVID first started, we were fogging the church between masses and every week, and we've upgraded our HVAC system to include, I couldn't tell you how it works, but it sanitizes everything better than a hospital does. So thank you for pointing that out, Father. Yeah. So that's all what's going on now, including, as I've seen on Facebook, the post about the new gym floor, which was paid for from the fun run that the school does. So that's about $100,000 that was able to be funded through the school's fundraising activity. So I know that's a lot of information, just bringing you up to speed. Any questions so far about that stuff? Yes, sir. Let me grab. So, to quote you, just to make sure I have the question right, with the lighting, is there any audio upgrades that are planned as well? Cherie raises her hand. I know that the audio in the church was updated. I know that those were kind of packaged together on the master plan in 2019. I couldn't give you the complete ins and outs of what that entailed. I'd be happy to talk about it with you, and we'll get Kathy and John. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, thank you. What was your name? I'm sorry. Mike? Man, that's a great name. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The school has what's called the Fun Run, which is you want to take this one? Yeah, she could take this one. By the way, this is Sherigio, our principal at the school.
Um, the year before I started, so 6 years ago, or maybe 7, MBS started a fun run with the students. And what the students do is they get pledges for laps around the field, and they collect, and we raise money that way. We've gone from making like $12,000 to last year we did $100,000 due to the laps. And I think it was because we tell the families this is what the money is going to go towards, and then they support the project. And so one of the things, since before I was hired, I was told we need a new gym floor, so which was true. And so that's what we did. We put the money towards the gym floor. So all of that was pledges from families. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay.
Yeah, we've as a whole on our 17 acres, $654,000 has been invested over our property. Now, something to keep in mind is that these buildings are now 40 plus years old, and they need to be tamed like they're 40-year-old buildings. The church we're standing in right now is, what, 17? What, I don't know how to do math here. Let's call it 15 years old, and it's starting to show like it's a 14-year-old building. So I know that we've had roof leaks, and there's just updating that needs to be done. The part of the reason we did the LED conversion is that the old tungsten halogen bulbs we had in here. Number one, Father Phil was in a broiler up here, and those lights, they would get so hot in their casings that it would end up burning them out in a matter of weeks. So, yes, ma'am. It's all right. This is it. This was done. So this was between 2019 and now. Solid. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Dennis had a bunch of words that I have forgotten. So, Dennis, with respect to the light, so I make sure that we're clear on what the question is. With respect to the lighting, can you just walk us through the pros of making that conversion, why we had to make the conversion? Yes, sir.
The church now is 17 years old. There's 500 lights in here, and we did a total change out about 3 years after we opened the church. After we did the total change out, that's what I look at it during Mass. I should be praying. But 2 weeks after we started changing lights out, those lights up there now that have no heat, the bulb was big as your finger, and it was 500 watts. And it start burning out within 2 to 3 weeks after we put them in. So it's cost effective. We looked at, and the heat we saving during the summer, the air conditioner doesn't run as much, and also we have a cost saving on the electrical. So we ended up, we changed these 3 years. It's going to be 3 years, and Thanksgiving, and I've had one go out under that right over there by the stations in 3 years. So it was feasible to do it.
So that just kind of gets us up to date on the last couple of years, some of our, bigger initiatives, some of the, higher dollar expenses that we've had for maintenance and things like that. So moving forward, we're going to skip the questions. Moving forward, something that we've been talking about in the office a lot is kind of a more comprehensive development strategy to make sure that we don't just put something in the bulletin and then expect those of you who read the bulletin to know and think that the rest of the parish is on board with it. So we have a newsletter at the school that I've been talking with Penny Lear about, who runs our newsletter for the school. We're trying to get that lined up with our bulletin, lined up with the posters that we've put outside, and we've also developed a QR code that we'll be having probably actually inside the front cover of your gather books that will keep you up to date on kind of the new, what we want you to know for the next month and things like that. Just important notices that are, cohesively presented to you all together. Also, in order to make sure that we're able to reach you, we updated our parish roles in, we'll say, a decade plus. So we'd really like to do a census in September. We're going to be mailing out some physical literature for you, as well as using these other digital methods that we have to make sure that we have the most comprehensive view of the parish that we possibly can as we move forward. So now, the reason that I think everyone's here are these two new buildings. Now, debt, we've paid everything so far, all of these high dollar expenditures out of pocket, and we're in pretty good financial shape. We will, however, have to do a capital campaign relatively similar to the one that we did 20 years ago, Building for the Future, when we built this church. The estimated cost on these buildings is $4.5 to $5 million. I'm correct on that, right, Daryl? And I'm extremely excited about it. I'm glad that we're able to cap off phase 2 of finally getting that extra building here, plus the additional building on school's campus. So with that, I'll hand it over to Daryl Didier with Didier Architecture, and he'll kind of give us a run through of what these buildings are going to have in them, why we decided to put what we decided to put in them, et cetera. So, Daryl.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Daryl Didier, Didier Architecture, and like Michael, you did a fantastic job, but I'm not real good with a microphone in my hand. I'm a drummer, so I'm supposed to be back there and not up here. And while Father thinks I look good in black, I'm not a priest and not used to talking to this many people, so bear with me. So about a year ago, we were approached by the building committee and Father to take a look at a building program, do some conceptual planning and designing for these two new buildings, one of which was the new fellowship hall, which we took a very practical approach to. We basically replicated the existing building. We widened it a little bit, added a few nuances, a little more flexibility, commercial kitchen a little bigger than what's in the parish hall now. And so you'll see that in the plan and in the rendering. With the multi-purpose building, things got a little more emotional for us. So I'll explain as we kind of go forward. So, celebration of life through design. You'll see that we use some action words that we've developed over this year: celebration, new beginnings, life, and so those words will kind of keep coming back as we roll through this presentation. That's where it began. A lot of hand sketches, goofing around, doodling. A lot of you probably do that. That's what we do as architects, to come up with ideas and thoughts. But out of those doodles, kind of real things. This is an expression of the master plan that Michael showed, showing where we're planning or the plan is to place these two new buildings. There's a pointer here somewhere. So, Fellowship Hall, which is a replication of the parish hall. Basically what we did is flipped it or mirrored it and expanded this courtyard to basically complete the courtyard. We widened, oh Lord, I knew I was going to do that. We widened the building a little bit, and then of course we have parking to support that building. So that kind of explains what's going on there. We have this connective covered walkway that connects us to the multipurpose building, and then that's our site for the multipurpose building. That's the old playground area that Michael alluded to. So again, with the fellowship hall, we took a very intuitive approach, very practical, used the same materiality, the same proportions, same roof lines, same entry points. So it looks like it's always been here. That was the goal. While creating more flexibility. Commercial kitchen is a little bigger than what's in that building currently. That's the floor plan. So there's the courtyard. This is the existing parish hall. So all of these connection points line up with the existing building. We have a very large meeting room here with a commercial kitchen associated with that space. Centrally located restrooms, which are accessible from this side, which are your parade grounds are sort of down here. Some smaller meeting rooms here and here, and then a semi-large meeting room on this side that can be segmented with operable partitions. So that was used to promote flexibility. So if we have men's club in here and we have scouts here and we have something else going on, then we can kind of segment those spaces and create a little more flexibility. So the existing parish hall is here. Admin building? Okay. Got it. So current existing admin building is here. Parade grounds are here. The road, or football field rather, the road is here. Additional parking is here. Let me see. Let me go back here. All right. There's the church. There's the existing fellowship hall or admin building. There's the new proposed fellowship hall and parking associated with this building. Does that make sense? No? All kind of questions. Yes, it's where we eat donuts. Yes, sir. Yes, on purpose. We can get a grease trap in there, we can tie it into the dumpster, we can do all of that. It's double the size of the existing kitchen, roughly. Yes, ma'am. That's a question for Fred.
There will be no reception hall for a wedding. We can discuss that because of liability reasons. Correct. In the new building, we designed one of the rooms to hold about 250 people, whereas St. John right now is our largest meeting space here. So, yeah, there will be space for that now, yes, ma'am. But when you say reception, we want to be very clear. We are not holding wedding receptions or doing anything like that.
At one time, it wasn't allowed, and then, once again, uh, but in certain circumstances, it certainly is available and has been used. Right?
Yeah, the consumption of alcohol at a wedding reception, the liability on the school and church campus is an issue that's come up.
Create more gathering space. So the decision about wedding receptions, is, as he just explained, is not a priority at this time for the very reason. So when you start seeing it, the constructions up closer, you'll see the number of rooms that are going to be available in both the thing that parallels our own administration building as well as the multi-purpose building.
So So, just to piggyback on your comment, this room is able to occupy about 250 people. So there's an ability to segment this room with operable partitions. We've also got this room, which is, its capacity is about 100 people, and we're able to segment that room in half in order to have a function here, a function there. They have their own means of egress into that hallway. And then there are smaller meeting rooms here, which could also be segmented with operable partitions. So the idea with this building is ultimate flexibility. That makes sense? Yes, ma'am. So we've got a little bit of storage here, a little bit of storage here, storage here and here. This kitchen, I think, is really sort of designed conceptually a little bit too big. Part of that I'm envisioning will become storage for chairs and that kind of thing. No, in our current plan. Anyone else? It's at least a third bigger. Matthew, is that correct? As well as they used to. That looks like 52 by, I know 50, so 52 by 50. Anybody else? All right. With that, we'll roll into the multi-purpose building. Let's stay here. The idea was to basically mimic, again, the materiality of the existing building, the entry points, the gable roofs, the stucco. So it looked like this building had always been here and wasn't just randomly placed. So these are some renderings that we created. This is the existing administration, fellowship hall, parish hall. That's a three-dimensional rendering that we created just so you can get a perspective. So, no, yes, sir. Nope, okay. So, while we had a very practical program associated with the fellowship hall, the multipurpose building took a little more of an emotional turn, a more of a spiritual turn for us as designers, realizing what Gracie and Gracie's family had gone through and the tree that had been planted for her and really symbolizing her life. And so we took that, used that as inspiration for the new building, and created a courtyard around her tree, basically to sort of mimic to a smaller scale what's already been established at the school. So that's the floor plan. That's her tree in the center. This is the courtyard we have created. This is the gym, by the way. This is parking here and drive. That's the street or road that takes you to the church and behind the multi-purpose building and behind the school to the ball fields and playground area. So courtyard, Gracie's tree, front entry, lobby, multi-purpose room that could house and facilitate a middle school basketball court and volleyball court. Meeting rooms for various events. Classrooms that flank out to this connective corridor in between the gym and this new building. They have their own entry. Restrooms behind to help pick up some of the ball field and events that go on, kind of pick up that load for restroom facilities, commercial kitchen, and restrooms to support the building. And then everything else gray that you see is storage for this building, for this space, and for events that take place. A little bit of work will need to be done to the gym, just to kind of take care of some drainage issues as we erect this building. But that's the plan. Building committee want to take that one?
We actually have some mobile buildings on the school campus right now because we needed the space. And without building a whole nother structure, those classroom mobile buildings, because we don't want them there forever, and they'll face into the school. So that's why they're there, because we need the space for classrooms. Well, you can down the road, but that's going to be way down the road. I think it's, when you think of, you'd have to build a whole nother structure, which is another couple $1 million. So if you could add 3 classrooms into this project just to get you way down the road, So that it's really a cost-saving effect. And then once you build that other that other building, then those would become meeting rooms as part of the multipurpose room building. And just one of the, I don't think Daryl mentioned this, but the thought was some of those bigger rooms could be for men's club, and that big commercial kitchen is really being designed with men's club in mind because they do so much cooking for the parish. So that would give the men's club a permanent home and storage and space right there. So
Thank you for saying that. I should also say that there's a plan for a covered canopy behind this building to sort of support this kitchen and men's club and anyone else who uses that kitchen. Yes, sir.
I'm going to pass the mic to Fred in just a minute. The question that I'd like to bring up that I think is something that I found very interesting that we've thought about is where those classrooms are located, where the entrances are for organizations like the men's club, as well as how those entrances and egresses work with respect to the parking lot and getting trailers and cookers and any kind of large-scale equipment back to where the kitchen is, as well as how we keep parish events separate if we have students in the classroom. So for 30 seconds on that.
I will say that before I hand this to Fred, controlled access was definitely a key thing here, and security was a real important factor too. So.
All right, I'm going to back up a little bit first. Also, we asked about why the classrooms are there. In the master plan that we've developed over the 4 years, there is future planning for our junior high and the administration, the school administration building to be moved outside of the central core of the school. So there is some future planning in the master plan for that. They've added pre-K, three pre-K classes. So 2 years ago, we installed temporary modular buildings out there. So we have it permitted for another 24 months through the East Baton Rouge Parish. So in 2 years, we have to be rid of these temporary buildings anyway, part of our permitting agreement. So needing those classrooms and truly having a multi-purpose building between the existing gym and what we call the St. Ott room, we can add these classrooms and have direct access or controlled access to the school campus just with those 3 classrooms. And the church parish still being able to use the kitchen area, which is more dedicated to the men's club. Everyone wants to know where the men's club is going. This is where they're going. Again, these plans have not been finished. These are conceptual drawings that we're working on. I mean, they have just been released to do final design. We've met with the men's club. We've looked at where they need storage, what they need in their kitchen, and all that, and meeting space will all be designed into this back kitchen area. So the main reason of having the classrooms there, the schools need. It could be controlled access to where the school can use it during the day. If you needed a reception, there's a funeral or a big meeting room, and all these meeting rooms behind us here are taken up. There are additional meeting rooms around the perimeter that have access that people can use even during school time. That's why the location where they're at and controlled access. Controlled access is all part of the child protection that's enforced by the diocese and the state. Correct. I kind of clear it up a little bit. Yes. Yes, I mean, Karen, I saw her walk in. She could probably tell us about the scheduling. The church parish meeting rooms are basically St. John, St. Luke, and St. Mark rooms that are pretty booked up. You can't really hold meetings during school time in St. Ursula or anything else because all these spaces being used over there, correct? So yeah, so the need for more meeting rooms during the day as well as after hours. I mean, there's meetings here every night of the week. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts for the school. I mean, the Good Timers clubs, all the other ministries are always looking for places to meet. So that's kind of why in the master plan we said, how can we accommodate the school? I mean, the gym at the school right now is used every day of the week till 9 o'clock at night. So with the multi-use building, we have overflow for that. I mean, carpool can be done in there. It's truly trying to be designed for a multi-use facility for the church and for the school to be able to use and maximize space. That whole yellow area back in the back where the kitchen area is and everything, I met with men's club president this week, talking. We looked at their space, and that's all going to be kind of go back to. But yeah, everything will have covered access. Correct. Yeah, all that will have covered access. Yes, inside the building. Like Lent, I mean, the men's club could theoretically come and start cooking at 2 o'clock and prepping at 2 o'clock, even though classrooms are being used. That's part of the whole one area.
I was just going to say, too, on any given night, there's parish activity on the school campus, which is great because it's a parish. And on the weekends with PSR, it's used every Sunday. So we really, when we have staff meetings at the church office, there are days where there's not a space to be, many days where there's no space to put anybody. And so we're having to turn ministries away. We're having to, really kind of, I mean, we're growing. It's a good problem to have because it shows growth for the parish. So, and I really, since I've been the principal at the school, have opened up and said, please come and have meetings when you can, which I don't know that we did a whole bunch in the classrooms and stuff. So we're even using classrooms during the week for meeting spaces for people. So currently what happens when we had to add fencing and gates to the campus for safety purposes. All of the schools have had to do that because of potential shootings and whatever. And we do have people come on campus that are not supposed to be on campus. So we added all this fencing. Well, what happens now is they have to buzz to get to the office. We have to they open a gate and they walk through the campus to get to the office. Well, many times they won't go to the office. They'll go off to the bathroom. They'll go to a classroom. We've had people go into the gym. And so if we move the administration building outside of the middle of the campus, they would enter the campus through the administration building, not the campus to the administration building. And so it's really a safer entry point when you're entering the school campus. It's scary. It is not like it used to be. The world is not like it used to be, and I hate that we have to face these issues, but we're really trying to keep the children and the teachers safe. So
I will say this campus does a really good job of controlled access. I've been on a lot of campuses, done a lot of work for EBR and Central and various other school systems, and you're doing it really well here. All right, any other questions? I'm going to keep trucking here. Yeah, sure. Music. Kidding. Piano. No. All right. Moving on. So, like I said, you're going to see some buzzwords that kind of pop up in the next few slides: life, new beginnings, celebration. Again, really playing off of Gracie's tree here, creating that courtyard. We have termed it Dedication Square. You'll see this wall that's protruding off perpendicular to the main entry. Our concept and thought process there is that we can celebrate folks that have come and gone in our community, in our diocese, whether it's their name or a symbol or don't know. It's a concept, it's a thought, but we think it's important to celebrate the folks that have brought us here, and so that was part of our concept. Created two axes here, one that's sort of directly in line with Gracie's tree and the front entry, and then an implied axis here as well. You'll see that here in this courtyard. This is the new building. A series of canopies have been established here. There are, oh, sorry, again. Yeah, I'm not real good with this. A series of canopies have been created here. The use of threes. Architects like to use threes because they work really well with proportion. Turns out they work really well with God too, with the Holy Trinity. So that just further strengthens our concept and thought process. So 1, 2, 3 canopies. A connective column here, which is sort of the crimson red MBS color. So that's the sort of a front shot from the parking lot. That's the gym. Gonna have to do a little work to this roof in order to get our drainage to work out, but we have a plan for that. That's a roof plan. You'll also see that there's some clear story lighting here. Again, 1, 2, 3. That's to promote natural light and get that multi-purpose room with some good natural light so we can reduce the amount of artificial light that we're putting in the space, LED or not. They will be LED. More shots of the front door, Gracie's tree, courtyard, Dedication Square, here, here, and here, celebration. Oh, I guess that's it. Any questions on what you've seen so far? I'll say this as an architect, nothing is maintenance free. But we will design it with I'll say this, we will design it with maintenance in mind, where we don't have to continually maintain slope, water will drain, we'll use gutters, we'll install screens in the gutters if need be to keep the leaves out of it, downspouts, we'll take the stormwater and drainage out in a very thoughtful, methodical way. Does that make sense? Nope, no question. No question. That's beyond my scope.
It's going to take more than me because I'm not going to be here that long. Maintenance-wise, pretty much everything we've had on the buildings that we've had in the past, like the classrooms are 41 years old. I mean, we had no wood rot. It's brick. It's roofs were changed. All the roofs were changed about 8 years ago. And with this, the project that Michael had showed y'all where we spent $500,000 was a lot of work went on. That whole building, the administrative building and the classrooms, every air conditioned return and service line was ran out of plastic pipe 40 years ago, which they don't let them put plastic pipe anymore. And so every piece of pipe, ceiling had to be pulled out, all had to be iron pipe put in every air conditioning unit and all the way through the administrative building and the school. So when we were in there, the classrooms are 40 years old. They had come to their time. You had to tear the ceilings out to get to the pipe. So it was a full renovation. Painted classrooms, new ceiling. When you have all the ceiling lights out, new LED lighting, all the air-conditioned pipe is all out. What was happening, we were overpressuring that pipe. When we have a power failure and the pumps would come back on, we come into school the next morning, water's running out the door of one of the classrooms because the plastic pipe was brittle. And the office, that's what happened. I had to renovate the office. The plastic pipe was so brittle, it busted in the middle of the night and flooded the administrative building. So we were having to do something with that piping now. So maintenance-wise, the administrative building, the school, the St. Ursula Hall, all that exterior has been repainted this year and back up to where it should be.
I'll also say this, our intent here is to kind of mimic the materiality of the buildings around us. Brick veneer, pre-finished or baked on enamel finish, metal panels, roofing material will probably be standing seam again with baked on enamel. So pre-finished materials that come from the factory with a finish on it require a lot less maintenance than paint. So that's the thought on both of these buildings. That help? That help? No?
This administrative building here is 17 years old. It's all brick veneer, and all the underneath soffits are all bent, baked metal. So we had, in 17 years, we have to just paint the entrances to the offices, and that's all we have to do on that building on stucco.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to kind of wrap up here real quick, and the next slide is just to kind of talk about a proposed schedule. From our perspective as designers, we have about 6 months worth of work to do. We have what's called phases: schematic design, design development, construction documents. When we get to the construction document phase, that's where we do the bulk of our work, the detailing, the technical information. Then we go to plan review, permit. While we're doing that, we solicit bids from a proposed contractor or group of contractors, and then did contractor selected at that point, and then we sign a contract and go to work. That part of the schedule is really outside of my expertise or scope here, but we have about 6 months worth of work to do. So this timeline is just sort of kind of gives you an idea of some milestones that we have to conquer: schematic design, design development, construction documents. So the idea here is to finish our documents this year, go to plan review early next year, and then solicit bids sometime in the spring, maybe, is the thought, so, of 2022. With that kind of leg. December, for our work, December. Oh, well, that depends on when we start. So, Fred, you want to take that? What's the duration? That's what I would say. Nothing else. All right. He doesn't want the mic.
Sorry, somebody had a question? Oh, Mark Evans answered a question for you. I don't know about that. I have these plans. I have everything you saw tonight in my office. I'm right over here. To answer your question about have we run out of space, it kind of made me laugh because I did kick Deacon Mark out of his office one time to have a meeting because his office is a little bit bigger than mine. But I have all of what we've seen tonight, and I have plans, large-scale 24 by 36 floor plans. I absolutely invite all of you, if you're curious about them, if you want to see them in more detail, if you want to ask what color the tile is going to be, just wait 6 months. But if you where the walls are, things like that, absolutely come into the office, take a look at them. I'll be totally happy to walk through every detail that we're able to walk through with you right now. Yes, sir. Current building fund balance is a really fun question. So, we have decided that it is important for us to have and I promise I will answer your question, okay? We've decided that it's very important for us to have an amount of buffer in our account, okay? So if we said, let's just use easy numbers. Let's say we had 10 and then add as many zeros as you want to that, and this project was going to cost 5, we would all in our heads just go, oh, okay, then we'll have 5 left over, and that's fine. With having a $2 million buffer that we've decided is completely necessary, we'll have about 2.3 left over for that to put into these buildings. Now, that's not an exact number, that's an approximation because our fiscal year ended in June or July. And in August, so early fall of this year, we're gonna publish our financials, which we haven't published in a while, but you're gonna get all of the numbers because we haven't gotten our reporting back from the diocese, and there's some interest in things because our account is held with the diocese. So that'll all be published the plan is in August. If it ends up being September, that's not an unreasonable expectation. I told our bookkeeper today if we can get it done by the first of the year, I'd be happy. But your question will be answered to the penny pretty soon. Yeah, so the idea is we're hoping to pay somewhere between 50 and 65% of this $4.5 to $5 million out of savings, and then with having a capital campaign, we won't have to take out a loan. We'll be totally square. We'll have a little bit left over, and we'll be good to go going forward. Yes, sir. The amount of dioceses, I don't know how the tiers work for diocesan approval. You might have to take this one, Father. Yeah. And about half is what we want to put into it from savings. I'm pretty confident that everyone will be asked to contribute. The methodology for that might be a little bit different than it was 20 years ago, but I promise you, at some point, everybody who lives in our civil boundaries is probably going to hear about it. Yes, sir. I can't answer that with exact certainty. Our feeling is that we want to keep it in-house, but that has to be gone through both Father Phil, our bookkeeper, and our finance committee, which unfortunately it was supposed to come up at our last meeting, but there was an issue with one of our members, so we weren't able to talk about that as comprehensively as we wanted to, and this meeting was on the books already. So again, all of this is just right across this courtyard here. I'll be happy to go over it with any of you. I'd also be happy to hear from you. The last time we did, thank you for bringing up the capital campaign. The last time we did a capital campaign, we had over 70 volunteers involved. We've started looking at who we're going to be involving in that. We're going to be ramping that up more around the fair, kind of in October. So please reach out to me if you want to be involved in that effort. I know that a lot of us are very proud of this parish. A lot of us are very close to this parish and are excited about the future of our parish. So if there's something that you want to do, I'd be absolutely happy to hear from you. If there's any other questions you have, totally happy to hear from you as well and get those questions answered. And with that, I think we'll end it there. Thank you all for coming.